Yeah, it jump cuts there because I had to get rid of it because I put it in the show notes as Ryan's avoiding HIPAA violation. So I, I clipped that out.
I have my anti-Houston Astros shirt on, so I feel like I need to change my because it looks like I have an Astros shirt on. It says Houston Asterisks.
Oh, right.
So like, yeah. but like the camera angle, it looks like I have an Astros shirt on, so that's not good.
That's a tough challenge. Like, are you actually cheering for the Houston Astros? I was laughing about it with Sue's because her parents were here for Halloween, and her mom is from Philadelphia,
right?
Born and raised. She literally did spend time on a playground, but probably with Fresh Prince.
Was it in West Philadelphia?
I don't know the geography of Philadelphia, but I know that she lived within walking distance to Villanova.
Not West Philadelphia.
Okay, so she was from West Philadelphia.
No.
From Upper Darby.
Okay, yeah, no, having lived there, I remember names, but I can't remember the areas. Like I know Northeast Philly is Northeast. Like that makes sense.
Yeah. So she's excited about the Phillies and Philadelphia Eagles, right? Being where that in their
Phillies the World Series, Eagles undefeated, playing well. Flyers actually playing well. Sixers are doing okay. The Philadelphia Union, if you give a shit about soccer, they're in the MLS finals. Like, yeah.
Really? Oh wow. Yeah, I stopped following soccer when we moved out of Atlanta. I was like, all right, I don't care anymore. I'm back to not caring like I was before. But they're playing the Astros. And Suzumi says, they're only cheating. So I was like, that was years ago. They just actually assembled a really good team.
So no, I've got a friend who's from Philly, super excited about it. Obviously, I watched game 2 with him the other night. And everything was cheat. But then, funny enough, one player they discovered he had an illegal bat in game 1 and wasn't allowed to use it in game 2.
Really?
And then Framber Valdez, there was video all over the internet of he kept reaching to his wrist and getting some substance off his wrist, allegedly. He changed cleats, he changed gloves halfway through. So I was ready to go, nope, it's no longer the same team. But cheater. So.
Yeah, maybe it is. I really just thought they were just really good. They had bought a really good team and assembled a good squad.
They have the least amount of strikeouts of any team that was in the playoffs. Like this is as far as batting, like it's an insanely low number. And my friend kept going, yeah, it's almost like they know it's coming.
Oh, yeah, maybe, especially with the amount of homers they're hitting. Like they're like, but also the Phillies have been jacking homers and obviously plenty of strikeouts though in between.
That's the 2 outcome baseball that we live in now. But it's not a baseball podcast.
We're talking about baseball. Yeah. Either way, we're talking about nutrition and fitness. That's what we do. Franchise nutrition and fitness. Who would have thought? But of course, like everything it is with nutrition and fitness, I mean, you have to talk about sport, right?
Right.
It's part of it. That's how we got into this whole thing.
And we want to figure out an easy way to do it. Like obviously potentially the Astros are doing it. Like who doesn't want a quick fix? Who doesn't want to make it a little bit easier to win? And so today we're actually talking about some nutrition and fitness fad programs and diets that we've seen online because you want a quick easy fix, right?
Yeah, I don't know how many times people ask me, which I'm sure they ask you too, can you give me something that's going to help me lose X number of pounds in X number of days?
Absolutely. I know both of us having coming from the University of Georgia, go Dogs, big game this weekend. I would always get people that would come up to me when I was a trainer there that would say, like in late February, what can I do to look good for the beach for spring break in the first week of March? And I would say, ask that same question to me this time last year. There is no quick fix. There is no magic pill. There is no magic program, as much as the internet alleges there is. And today we will uncover the truth behind a lot of those fads that you have read and continue to read on social media in particular.
Yeah. So I would like to point out, since we're talking about there's no quick fix or anything, plenty of people will say, oh, you can get a quick fix if you use performance enhancing drugs. Those are also not a quick fix.
Right. Like, and there's work that still goes into it. I love, like, going back to our baseball discussion. Like, I love when people, well, Barry Bonds was on steroid. He still put in the work. Like, he didn't sit on his ass and go, all right, I'm injecting steroids. All of a sudden I'm strong.
Yeah. A lot of work too, with fat burners. That's if you want to quote unquote fat burners, even you go back to the days of what was that thing that they banned it a long time ago?
Fedra.
Yeah. Fedra. Like for that to work, it took like 2 months.
Absolutely.
Like for you to actually see any results of anything, and any cycle of testosterone replacement therapy is a couple of months before you see results with it. So there are no.
It's not magic.
Fixes. You can walk through the grocery store line. You'll see on the front of the tabloids, lose 30 pounds in 10 days. That's terrible for you. If you lost 30 pounds in 10 days, like you qualify for malnutrition status. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell people ways to lose 30 pounds in 10 days, and then you can gain it back in 10 days as well. And yeah, it's very, very unhealthy and not sustainable.
Yeah, you could have an amputation. You lose a lot of weight really fast.
Exactly. Yep.
But I don't recommend anybody have amputations if you don't medically need it. There's times when that would be possible. But we asked people a couple of weeks ago and a couple of times ago before that what kind of topics that they would want us to talk about, and what kind of nutrition fad diets they saw on the internet or that had been talked about. And so we got a pretty good list of things from those people.
Absolutely. I'm pulling some up right now.
But then there's also some other ones that are really popular. So I'm going to start with, I think we should start with the list of things that people asked about. And then,
well, yeah, we should probably, please the people who actually took time out of their precious day to talk to us and give us ideas, and not just what Ryan wants to talk about, right? That's
yeah. Well, but I was going to say, and then we'll go into, there's only really one that is a commonly asked one that was not on the list of things that people asked. So we'll save that one towards the end. But yeah, it was I was surprised that it wasn't asked because it's so common now. And maybe that's part of it, is that enough people know about it. But there are some caveats to it that people don't know, that are reasons why I never recommend it.
So, I mean, I feel like we should probably say, I know I'm not bringing it up because nobody brought it up to me. We talk about it ad nauseum, I know, in the past. Like, are we talking keto today?
Yeah, keto's on here. Let's get that one in, and I'll get it out of the way. We'll just go ahead and do that. Somebody asked about keto, and keto versus Atkins versus just changing stuff out. That was one of the questions that was asked. Ketogenic diets, and I'll link it in here. How this originally came about was this kid named Charlie, and he had epilepsy and he was taking a bunch of medications for his epilepsy, and a doctor suggested maybe we should try this other thing. And how the ketogenic diet works. Classic ketogenic diet is a very, very low carbohydrates and protein, right?
Which is what a lot of people don't. If you really want to go to true ketogenic, a lot of people don't do correctly. Like, they do high. It's a low carb diet they're doing. They do high protein, high fat, low carb.
Yeah, and so the annoying part for me is like, what is low carb? Like that's just, low carb is just a random set of words. It doesn't specific, but keto is specific because it's a ratio of fat to carbohydrates and protein added together. So for example, if you're a true classic keto person and you are eating 2,000 calories in a day, you could have one hamburger patty and one slice of bread. That would be all the carbohydrates and protein that you can have. And then every single thing else that you consume to get 2,000 calories has to be fat.
So I would take all of mine as soon as I got up in the morning. Like my breakfast would be that, and then I would just, I guess, be eating sticks of butter for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I've literally, I did this when I was in the internship back in Indiana and had to program in balls of butter for people to help them with their epilepsy. Uh, but uh, I'll link it in the show notes. But the Charlie Foundation has a bunch of good stuff on it, and they Charlie, the kid that is based for or named for, he got off of all of his, or not all of them, all except for one of his epilepsy medications, and it was a very long list of medications. And then they were able to slowly add back in carbohydrate containing foods, and so now he just eats like a regular diet, only has to take one.
That's awesome.
So that's where that diet comes from.
Right, which is it's always intrigued me, and it's always intrigued me of why it was created, and then how somehow people picked up on it for weight loss.
Yeah, I will say, I know we referenced it in last week's episode when we were talking about books, but on the popular bodybuilding forums that we used to travel in back in the late 90s, early aughts, it was really popular then. And one of the reasons, there we go, deleted.
Oh, right.
All right.
Oh, yeah. All right. So we're back somewhere.
All right. You were talking about things that you really, we were talking about bodybuilding forums. That's what it was.
Yes, there you go. Bodybuilding forums, stuff that we were into in the as I've heard some of the Gen Z calling it now, the Gen Z. That it's they call it the late 1900s, not the 90s. How effing old do you feel?
That does make me feel old. When you say it like that. But what happened there was with the ketogenic diets for those forum people, they found that it helped, quote unquote, mobilize fat, where their body would start trying to use its own fat to make its calorie needs. If you were in a calorie deficit, if you were like full on keto, so they would lose weight, and also it would help them lose fat, quote unquote. And so they would end up they would look more lean and more vascular, and their weight would be down. But what was actually happening was they were probably losing a lot of water.
I was going to say they were extremely dehydrated.
That they looked more vascular and would look more lean. And maybe they did lose some fat in there, but these guys, they would do it for like months.
See, I prefer just to not drink a lot of water, go pound a bunch of vodka, like wake up the next morning and you're really vascular, like that's.
Yeah. And one of the things that I would like to point out, though, all the people that I worked with that had epilepsy and they were working on, they were mostly children, but they were all like very skinny, like concerning that maybe they're not eating enough overall, getting enough. And so we'd have to give them like so much fat just to try to get enough energy. You got to be really careful because we were also doing like blood draws, because you could end up making your body acidic, which would not be good. And so then we'd also have to give them like baking soda to help balance it out. But then you also have to do more blood draws and blood gases to make sure that you don't go too basic. It's a lot of it. Like that is where the true blood pH manipulation happens. And the concern there is that you can cause organ failure on either side of it if you go too far in either direction.
So you mean me drinking Gwyneth Paltrow's water is not going to affect my blood pH?
No, it could affect your pH, but probably not your blood pH. Your body does a really good job when your organs are functioning properly.
It's amazing how, the miracle of our bodies, right?
Right. Yeah. Like it's always people ask me things like that doesn't even make sense. And I'm like, well, it's all connected. Like your kidneys, your liver, your lungs, they all work together to, help balance out your blood pH. So all that makes sense.
Go figure.
But
so you're talking about cutting carbohydrates out. I think I'll kind of loop a few of them that I got together, suggestions into one thing of like anything where it's just cut something out and put something in its place. So for instance, like the boiled egg diet, or the old school grapefruit diet, or the one that was funded by Kellogg's. We're not fans of Kellogg's because we love our General Mills, right? So so like the Special K diet, for instance, like any of these diets is like, hey, cut 2 meals of your day out and stick this insert product here. Like eat 2 boiled eggs in the morning, or eat Special K in the morning, or just eat a grapefruit. Like, yes, you are cutting out a large amount of calories you would normally take in. Like, for instance, I know my breakfast most mornings before I go to the gym is roughly anywhere between like 380 to 500 calories, depending on what I'm taking that day. If I replace that with 2 boiled eggs, I'm going 160 calories versus my 500 calories. My lunch most days is anywhere from 400 to 700 calories. I put 2 boiled eggs in that place. It's 160 calories versus 700. Gee, I don't know why I lost weight. I took in less energy. Oh, and still did everything else the same.
Calorie deficit. You don't say.
Calories in versus calorie out. It's got to be more difficult than that, right?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a boiled egg thing. Although I do like boiled eggs, if you mix them with your salad greens, you absorb more carotenoids.
There you go. I'm a big fan of any salad greens. I do try to do salad greens before any, because I love the research with that of eating your vegetables and your greens before the rest of the stuff in your meals. And
who knows? Like eating fruits and vegetables might help you out.
Oh, it's crazy. So how many fruits and vegetables am I supposed to have a day, Ryan?
2 servings of fruit, 3 servings of vegetables, which that's where that 5-a-day comes from. And I know that we talk about it ad nauseum on this podcast, but really that's like
the third time we've used ad nauseum today too. That's our word of the day.
That's
like we're
sorry. But it ends up being about 1 piece of fruit for most people, and maybe a large salad at dinner and a side salad at lunch or something. That would be most vegetables for most people. But one of the others, so that's the keto one, right? And then what most people are doing when we talk about keto and Atkins, what most people are doing out there right now is a modified Atkins, right? So Atkins itself was a low carb, quote unquote low carb, where it was about 50 to 55% of your foods would be carbohydrates, and you would prefer to get them from specific sources like fruits and vegetables, and avoiding grains. And then also getting a moderate amount of protein, which is around 20 to 25% of your calories coming from protein. And the whole purpose of that was that actually helped with diabetic issues, like helping your blood sugar control and blood sugar regulations. That's where the Atkins diet came from. Dr. Atkins was big on trying to do that, which again, I don't disagree with the base principles of that. Like fruits, vegetables, and moderate amount of protein would help anybody that's diabetic. But the people that are doing keto currently are doing a modified form of Atkins, really, where they're doing, instead of that 50 to 55%, they're doing like a 40 to 45% of their calories coming from carbohydrate. And then they add that extra 10 to 15% in there to the protein amount. So they're getting that higher amount of protein instead of that 20 to 25%. They're doing like a 30 to 35% of protein. And then they'll cut down the carbs to that 40%, and then they'll do that additional 30% out there as fat, which was not at all ketogenic. Like that's not even close. So I get frustrated with people like, I'm on the keto now. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, well, somebody one time we were talking about it. They were like, champagne doesn't count, beer doesn't. And I was like, all that has carbs in it. All that counts. Those are all carbs. Carb is a carb. Like,
I'm not eating any fruits or grains, but I'm drinking 2 bottles of champagne a day. I'm celebrating being on the keto diet.
Yeah, it doesn't count if you don't track it, Matt. It's I've heard that before. Exactly. You gotta don't track it. Like, no, it still counts. But those are the 2 diets that people asked us about, was keto and Atkins. And then I got, and you had the boiled egg one. Do you have any other?
Yeah, so like I had the one I wish we had thought beforehand and planned a little bit better and pulled this one up for the people that watch for the visual, but the military diet that somebody sent me, that was fun.
The military diet? That,
Yeah, it was to lose 3 pounds or lose 10 pounds in 3 days. The one that had yeah, there was no rhyme or reason to it.
do you
Like
also get rhabdomyolysis with it?
because it's like it's like for breakfast and it changes so it changes over 3 days
Oh,
and it's
here we
just
go.
like like one day's for breakfast is half a grapefruit, a slice of toast, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, a cup of coffee or tea. It's like, all right. Lunch is a half cup of tuna, one slice of bread, 1 cup of coffee
On
or
the
tea.
video over here.
There you go. All right, so you're bringing it up. Like it's just mumbo jumbo. Like,
Yeah. This doesn't even make sense. What to drink? Best thing you drink in the military. So drink as much as you can. Water, coffee. Don't add extra calories with creamer or sugar. Artificial sweeteners aren't good for your blood sugar. That's not true. You can cause weight gain. Also not true. Straight up. All right.
oh my
So,
god.
but
Yeah. Oh, and I see. Yeah, I knew you would enjoy this one. There's so much wrong with it. Yeah.
day one. This looks like terrible. Like peanut butter toast, grapefruit, coffee, toast. Is that tuna?
Yeah, half a cup of tuna, a slice of toast, and a cup of coffee or tea.
I mean, I could see how you'd lose weight on this.
Right. You're not eating anything.
You're not eating a lot. There's not a lot of.
Oh, that's my favorite. Is for dinner, you always finish off dinner with vanilla ice cream. But the first and third day is a cup. But by God, don't you mess up that second day because it's only half a cup. I don't know why.
That doesn't make sense. When I think of, if you want to help lose 1,500 calories. All right, so most adults should not consume 1,500 calories. I'll just throw that out there right now. Like, so, but either way,
You're like very sedentary.
yeah. When I think about like military things, all those in Army of One commercials where they're all the same come in mind. And I would say that if you're thinking about a military diet that's all the same, it probably should be the same on every single day.
Right. Like that would make sense to me. That's why like it just throws me off that breakfast is different every day. There's some days that it seems like there's more protein. Like to me, the ice cream is the best part. It's like there's always ice cream because hooray, ice cream. But that second day is a half a cup instead of a cup. Like why?
Why would you like eliminate that? That doesn't make sense. Like, they wouldn't just be like, all right, all we have 1 cup servings around here, so we're gonna scoop out half of it so that way we can.
It's almost like the person that came up with that's completely full of shit.
Yeah, it worked for them, so it'll work for you too. We hear that all the time.
Oh my god, I love that. It's like it worked. Like it works for me. Like this strength training plan works for me. Like I've got friends, and I know sure you do too, with their background in wrestling, that they work out with no rhyme or reason or structure, and somehow they're humongous because great genetics. Like worked for them. Why should I follow a plan? It worked for them.
So, all right, one of the other questions is the military diet is an interesting one that we got.
You're welcome.
That's nuts. Was post-biotic and macrobiotic diets, and then seed oils was also mentioned. I don't know if that's like a specific diet or not. I try to look it up, but a lot of people complain about seed oils in general, which we don't have enough time to get into positive negatives. Extra virgin olive oil is okay for you. Regular olive oil is okay for you. Other seed oils, you don't want to overdo it. All right, that's all I'm going to say about seed oils right now because
that's a whole different podcast.
A lot of conflicting science opinions in there. But as far as the biotics, this is all encompassing: postbiotics, probiotics, prebiotics. What are they? A biotic helps in some way to your gut microbiome. And you can all look that up on Google. That's not really that hard to find out, but everybody's body, your individual body is unique, and what is inside of your gut, the biology that's living in there is also unique per person, and you can manipulate it through the food that you consume because you're also feeding that gut microbiome. And so we're still learning about it. There's still um, science that's actively being done to try to figure out what's going on. And there's some science that suggests currently that what happens with you and your side of your body and on the outside of your body is actually a reflection of how healthy your gut microbiome is. So there is a little bit of um, truth to that, in that there's some science that suggests that. But it's also still so new that we really don't know. You can't concretely say that this is this. Like, uh, for example, protein is 4 calories per gram. I cannot say something like that about your gut microbiome. Like it's just,
Right.
and it's everybody is so different. It's hard to do. But we're thinking about, so the big two things are prebiotics and probiotics. Um, Probiotics are living microorganisms that like you add in and then help the growth of other things. So typically you'd want to take in a good bacteria, like if you're getting yogurt with live active cultures in it, you're going to get some kind of lactobacillus probably, and that's going to help grow microbiome, healthy quote unquote microbiome in your gut. So that way you can better process foods and all those things. Um, then prebiotics are not a living organism, but are already existing in your food, components that exist in your food, such as fiber is a prebiotic, right? So eating your fruits and your vegetables that have lots of fiber and vitamins and minerals in
I
them.
believe that's the first time I've ever heard you advise eating fruits and vegetables on this
I
podcast.
don't know, it's like the fourth time today. Maybe we'll just
Sorry,
run
I wasn't
podcast.
paying attention.
We run this podcast in reverse. Would it be the first time? I don't know. But so those things help whatever you already have in your gut that is healthy, quote unquote, healthy for you, is that helps those things grow better. Um, so, but then postbiotics. Dun 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 dun. Postbiotics are things that have already been broken down by something, such as buttermilk. So a buttermilk is a postbiotic because it's already started the process of it being broken down.
Break it down.
So what I find interesting about it is there are medical professionals that do not have a large volume of nutrition background that will tell you that this is like the greatest thing out there for you to consume is just tons of postbiotic things. Um, I would suggest it should go the other direction and you want to get as much prebiotics as you
That
can.
would make sense.
So, um, like when I looked this up, there was, if you get these things, you can help relieve constipation and diarrhea. And it's like maybe you have constipation because you don't consume enough fiber, and maybe you have diarrhea because you have some unhealthy biome that's living in your gut. Maybe if you ate more fruits and vegetables, you would help relieve both of those problems.
Yeah, more fiber, more water seems to be a pretty good catch-all for a lot of ailments.
Yeah, it's just, and so I mean, like you can look up postbiotics. I don't know if I try to look up like a specific diet, and all it really did was just increase the amount of foods that had already been previously broken down. So like there's a lot of uh, yogurt, uh, buttermilk. Let's see, yep, cottage cheese. That was the other one, and then other like kefir, I think like kombucha, like stuff like that. That's like pre-fermented foods. That's what it really is. Like it's already foods that are fermented, but it's called postbiotic now because that's a cooler name than
Right.
post-fermentation.
And like that kind of segues into something that was sent to me too, of like whether something works or not. Like I was actually sent a tweet where somebody put this catch-all thing. It's like things that sound fake, but they actually quote work. Multivitamins, magnesium water, probiotic rich foods. Like, what do you mean by work?
Yeah.
Multivitamins give me supplementation of vitamins I may not be getting enough of. Are they going to magically give me energy in non-caloric form? No. Like, so I'm always so weary of anything that works. Like, same thing. I was also sent like, oh, drinking warm lemon water for breakfast. Like, why? Like, what's it supposed to do? Drinking chia seeds in your water at night. Like, why? What's the point of the timing? What's it supposed to do? Like, there's so many things out there. It's just, hey, do it because this works. Like, what does work mean? Like, do a little bit of research.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. So that'll lead me into, this is the one thing that was not mentioned that I was surprised wasn't mentioned, was intermittent fasting. Right. So very popular currently. It is one of the most highest search diets on Google. What is intermittent fasting?
Yeah, I get asked that, yeah, multiple times a week.
So intermittent fasting, basic principle here is consuming all of your calories that you're supposed to consume in a day in a specific time frame in the day.
Yeah, the popular one right now is 16 off, eight on. Yeah, so for 8 hour window, just going, hey, I can eat whatever I want.
Right. And I've tried to pull up the study, but I just didn't take enough time to be able to like read through it. So I don't want to, I'll link it in the show notes, but there was a study done by a cardiologist that used to recommend intermittent fasting for a lot of people. And it was really well done study. And what the stats that he suggested was that in patients that he had that were just a regular calorie deficit and spread out their foods throughout the day versus the intermittent fasting group that controlled all of their calories in a specific part of time, both sets lost weight. Both sets lost a similar amount of weight. But the thing that was interesting was they did some muscle biopsies, and the group that was intermittent fasted lost more muscle mass than the regular calorie restricted group. So now he no longer recommends intermittent fasting to people because most people that he's recommending to are going to be people, he's a cardiologist, right? Going to be people that have heart issues. So you don't want those people to lose muscle mass, right? You just want them to lose fat. That's what's going to help them the most, is help like cutting fat off and like reducing their body weight through that. And you want, so in order to do that, you need to maximize the retention of muscle. So intermittent fasting is not going to help you retain muscle mass. So
Interesting. I had not read that study. It's very intriguing.
yeah, it was over 6 months. Like it's a long period of time, and that each person was their own control too. So like they like had like, you're not. It's tough to do human-based studies because everybody's so different. So you have to like really do strict things. But I mean, it was a good study, and that's why I don't recommend it to anybody. Just I thought I myself I've done intermittent fasting before just to try and see what it does, see what happened. But and I tell people all the time, like you can consume all your calories that you needed to consume in a single meal. That doesn't mean that it's best for you. And that's
Right.
just proved it that that's really not a good idea, not a good strategy. But if you're out there, you're listening to this podcast, you've probably listened to some other episodes. If you haven't, you should go back and listen to all of them. If you want to know about a great plan that you can put together for yourself, go to franchisenutritionfitness.com and sign up for your free meet and greet. So we love programming things for people, including their exercise, including their nutrition. And what we primarily do, though, is provide the support and accountability that you need to succeed in that plan and on those goals. So, but, are these diets the best for you? Probably not. The best diet for you is the one that you can stick to. So
I say that all the time. Same goes for exercise. Best exercise is the one you'll actually do.
yeah. So if you want to work through that and have somebody provide the support and accountability that you need, sign up for your free meet and greet. I don't know. You got anything to add? Any other diets you want to talk about?
I mean, I think we covered it pretty well. I'm of the mindset of I like to eat.
Me too.
That's my number one thing against intermittent fasting. You tell me not to eat for 16 hours, there's no chance in hell.
Yeah, and I love to eat too. And I tell people all the time, I eat whatever I want. We talk about how much I love cinnamon toast crunch on this podcast all the time. But that can fit in your diet too. Whatever you want, whatever you enjoy, we don't ever take anything away. We add more food to people's diets than we ever take away. And generally speaking, that helps people be more successful.
Yeah, your nutrition, your workout should be a sustainable, enjoyable process. This isn't punishment. Like it's it's a way to help yourself. It's a way to better your life. So why should we punish you for it? And we're not going to. So we're happy to make sure you have a workout plan that you enjoy, make sure you have an eating plan you enjoy, and to make sure that you can maximize
Every bite
and maximize every rep.
Blah, 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 blah. We'll do it all over again. Maximize every bite.
Maximize every rep. That's what I get for just trying to be creative. All right.
FranchiseNutritionFitness.com. Go back, listen to all the other episodes of this podcast, share them with your family and friends, like, 5 stars, subscribe. Thank you.